Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And people were starting to wonder if it was actually going to happen, but the class tuning changes have arrived. These are the tuning changes that will be implemented on March 17th that appear to affect the game as a whole. And in my opinion, these are probably the most pivotal and important changes for the retention of the player base moving throughout this season and this patch, because obvious imbalances will cause frustration and high likelihood of players to leave. So I'm very excited and also a bit nervous to go over these changes. And as always, if you want to make sure that you stay up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. So here, Kyvax has laid it down for us that max level play has given us a lot of data and feedback to make their first tuning pass. And do remember, this is the first one. There will be another one, and then we probably won't see. It'll be very infrequent from that point moving into the next major patch likely. They mentioned Heroic and they mentioned PvP. I think we're off to a good start so far. So Blood Decay, you guys sucked. So what's going to happen to you now? You're going to get buffed. Deathbringer's Reaper's Mark's getting a 20% buff. Exterminate's getting a 20% buff. Wave of Souls is getting a 20% buff. Deathly Blows now increases the damage of Death Strike by 12% up from 5. And Bind in the Darkness now increases the damage of Blood Boil by 30% up from 10. So Deathbringer Blood Decay could be really good with that many modifiers applied to it. That could be really good. Again, I'm a bit worried about tanks in PvP, but maybe we'll have to get to the PvP segment of that. Maybe they've done something to address it. Unholy, this was a prediction on my part. I also predicted that Blood Decay would get buffed in my prediction list. You guys did get a buff. This makes the Reaper's Mark damage makes me think maybe you could be viable in PvP. But I also predicted a small nerf for Unholy. So 20% is a lot bigger than small. 20% nerf to everything, but then Epidemic got buffed by 10% and Virulent Plague got buffed by 15%. So this is almost the opposite of what they did in the previous tuning, which was before they nerfed the dots and left everything else. Now they nerfed everything else, but then buffed the dots. So you're kind of just ending up in a slightly reduced position from where you were like in, the late stages of the beta. But we kind of expected this, right? And maybe in the PvP segment, we'll see something that helps out with this, but this is kind of brutal. I think 20% is very brutal, especially if it's not addressed with all the modifiers that you rely on, like Reaper's Mark buffing your damage and Abomination buffing your damage of your minions. Like all those modifiers are the only window you do damage. This type of change will make it so that is literally the only way you'll do damage in PvP at least. So hopefully there'll be something there. For Demon Hunter, the 4% guy strikes again and just nerfed all your damage by 4%. I don't think that's too huge in any regard, but I was not really expecting at least a nerf like this, but I don't know how it was doing in PvE, and these changes up here are obviously mostly directed at PvE. For Havoc, you did get a buff, and I said you would get a slight buff in the prediction, so 6% on everything, 10% additionally on Immolation Aura. However, Burning Wound bonus to Immolation Aura is being reduced by 5%, so it's still a buff overall. Rage Fire damage increased to 35% of Immolation Aura critical strike damage, up from 30%. Essence Break's getting 10% more damage. Glaive Tempest is getting 10% more. Eldrazi Reaver is getting a buff, it looks like, with 8% more on Reaver's Glaive. Fury of Eldrazi, Thrill of the Fight, going up from 6, though it's only a 2% buff. So more bonus haste. Reaver's Bark damage bonus increased to 6% from 5. Wounded Quarry effect increased to 25% of physical damage, up from 20. So seemingly, good little just bump up, especially when there's another week of tuning, right? And we don't even know what the PvP ones, right? These all seem, fair to me in PvP as well. But maybe there's even more in the PvP section, and maybe this is a little bit more than a tiny buff. It kind of seems like just a tiny buff, but could be considered a bit more. I think I'm scrolling past the changes a little bit too fast on the screen there. But Vengeance Demon Hunter actually got a buff, 10% on everything, and then 10% additionally on Immolation Aura. And then Eldrazi Reaver looks like it's also getting buffed for Vengeance. So Wounded Quarry effect increased to 20% physical damage, up from 15. Reaver's Glaive 8%, Fear of Eldrazi 8%, Thrill to Fight bonus to haste increased from 6 to 8. So seemingly good patch to be a Havoc or a Vengeance Demon Hunter. Boomkin. Okay, this is where I was wondering what they were going to do, because Boomkin is very bad in Mythic Plus at the moment. So I was thinking for sure they're going to buff it. Also, I think some of these notes might be off the screen. I just want to make sure they're on the screen. And they are counteracting nerfs now. So this is good. This is good news for people who play healers that are like really good at Mythic Plus, but maybe not so good in PvP, that they're doing this type of stuff. Because obviously a 20% damage increase in PvP would have been absolutely ridiculous. But in PvE, that's nice that you're getting that. Star Surge 8% only in PvE though. Starfall decreased though by 14%, but not in PvP. So they're not. So Starfall staying about in the same spot. Wrath is getting a 10% buff. You could maybe have let that one go through in PvP. No, wouldn't have been too mad about that. Elun's Chosen Lunar Calling increases Starfall damage to your primary target by 120%, but not in PvP. Your 2-set bonus increases Shooting Stars damage by 40% down from 50, and that will be in PvP. So Shooting Stars will do less damage. Shooting Stars outside of Eclipse generates 2 Astral Power down from 3. And for your 4-piece, chance for Star Surge or Starfall to generate an Exploding Star is reduced to 30%. So they've buffed all your baseline stuff and then nerfed the set bonus. And obviously the set bonus is already nerfed in PvP. So it's like, it's probably not a huge deal anyways in PvP. For Season 1 on the 4 set, they fixed a bug causing the Exploding Star to increment Orbit Breaker's count by 1 for every target hit. It now always counts as 1 Shooting Star as intended. So I think that's a little bit of a damage loss. Feral Druid. I'm really interested to see what Resto Druid's got, because Resto Druid was a hot topic one. I think Feral Druid was too. I'm surprised they're not doing this. See, I thought Feral could possibly flip on the meta, but they're not giving you this in PvP. They're not giving you the 6% damage overall. They're not giving you the 20% rake bleed damage in PvP, but they are in PvE. They're giving 10% rip damage in PvE, but not PvP. You get a 10% swipe damage in PvP. You're never going to press that. Rampant Ferocity did get a 10% buff. Unseen Swipe gets a 15% buff. Frantic Frenzy, though, is getting a 10% nerf. Is that the one that has a lower cooldown? I know the Feral Frenzy's been split into like an AoE one versus a lower cooldown one. So Feral actually got nerfed, seemingly. Obviously, I don't know how important these are necessarily in PvP, though. There is a PvP section also down below, but the fact that they didn't even... I feel like giving, this might have been okay. Or maybe even the rip damage might have been okay. So maybe we're not going to see a meta shift for Feral. I'm scrolling too fast. You guys I'm scrolling past the changes. Guardian, this is the one. Are they gutting you? There's no way I read this for Resto, dude. I'm sorry, because you literally had only one change, and I read it, and I'm like, there's no way. And it also went through in PvP. I think if there's no PvP section for Resto Druid, I think they hate you. Let's see here, though, for Guardian. Moonless Night now causes your direct damage melee abilities to deal 20% additional damage down from 40. That's a lot less, especially on like raised damage. Wild Guardian rank 4 now causes echoes to deal 300% increased damage up from 150. That's a buff. I don't know how important these echoes were. It's mostly just raised damage that does a lot. Ability damage excluding Moonfire is nerfed by 20%. Oh god, dude, the bears are getting hit. Moonfire got a 10% nerf on top of that. Oh, so instead of 20, it's only 10. Druid of the Claw damage dealt by Ravage to its main target reduced by 27%. Is it Ravage? I thought it was called Raise. Maybe I'm mixing up the name of it, but Druid of the Claw was what was broken, so it's not surprising to see it nerfed. Damage dealt by Dreadful Wound reduced by 23%. That's the AoE bleed from it. This is big. I think Guardian's dead, at least offensively. You're still an unkillable ball of meat, but damage is getting hit really hard. Druid of the Claw Killing Blow now increases Maul, Raise, and Ravage damage by 70% based on Rage, down from 100. Druid of the Claw Strike for the Heart now increases Mangle damage by 10% down from 20. And Bestial Strength now increases Maul, Raise, and Ravage damage by 10% down from 20. So offensively, Guardian's pretty dead. But it's still a really annoying, unkillable ball of meat with a ton of off healing. But that seems very big damage-wise. And then Resto Druid 6% healing nerf is like, and not reducing that in PvP. I'm a bit worried, but I will hold my opinions until we get to the actual PvP section. So far, everything has been pretty much in line with what I was expecting. Devastation Evoker, Scale Commander, Mass Disintegrate bonus, damage bonus for each missing target is reduced to 10% down from 15%. So a little bit of a Devastation nerf. I said like maybe a slight nerf. This is like smaller than a slight nerf. Although I guess it's per missing target. So if you did isolate someone, that could feel pretty significant in PvP. For Augmentation, Scale Commander, Mass Eruption damage bonus for each missing target reduced to 10 down from 15. Molten Ember's damage bonus reduced to 15 from 25. I thought Og could actually get nerfed because it was doing really good in PvE. Duplicate rank 4 stat bonus reduced to 75 from 100. Fix an issue that caused motes a possibility to apply their buff to a target other than the ally who comes in contact with a mote. So Og's actually weaker as a result of these changes. Preservation. Rewind healing has been increased by 200% outside of raid. That's good because that ability sucked for Prez. Rewind healing, though, is no longer increased by 67, but it's a trade-off. You're getting 133. It doesn't work exactly like that, but it's still more than it was before. Marithra's Blessing increases the direct healing of Dream Breath by 250%, up from 125%. And Dream Breath's direct healing is just getting a 20% buff. Marithra's Blessing reverses 1% damage down from 2 on targets with reversion. So that's probably the raid nerf, right? Because Preservation is doing really well in raid, but not good in smaller group content. So this damage reduction is probably good in raid or something. So bringing that down means they can bring up the healing of other spells. I mean, these are pretty big. We'll have to see the PvP section because I feel like if they haven't done anything about healer damage, that's still going to be a really important factor. Survival actually got buffs, 35% on auto attack damage, and Wildfire Bomb got 20% on primary target. Raptor Strike got a 10% buff. Raptor Swipe will deal 35 to 70% increased damage to his primary target, up from 25 and 50. And they fix an issue causing Sanctified Armaments to be modified by damage taken and damage dealt increases. I don't know what that means. If that means it's doing more or less by those modifications, I don't know. But the rest of it is buffs. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect Survival Hunter. Maybe I did, actually. No, I think I said it would probably be the same. So that's kind of unexpected. BM Hunter is getting buffs, but seemingly not in PvP. Barbed Shot, 35% more damage. Cobra Shot, 100% more damage. Dark Ranger, Black Arrow initial damage increased by 50%, but not in PvP. So the Dark Ranger build is the one that I think is starting to creep up for BM and PvP, so this is probably good. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the Delve challenge with how badly they just ripped the damage out of Guardian Druid, bro. I don't know if an unkillable meatball is going to be enough to do the Delve challenge. Marksmanship, Sentinel, fix an issue caused Sanctified Armaments to be modified by damage taken and damage dealt increases. I have a feeling we're going to see Marksman Hunter changes in the PvP section because this is very light. I don't know. This isn't very specific with how big of a deal that was, so I'm not sure. Arcane Mage, they buffed Arcane Blast by 25%. I like that. I like Arcane Blast hitting hard. I feel like every Arcane Mage would love if Arcane Blast was actually an ability they could use like in PvP. So you're getting a single target buff in PvE, and then that's a buff in PvP. They're buffing Barrage as well. I can't believe they're buffing you in PvE. They're actually buffing you. Oh, but they're nerfing the Orb build, I think. So they're buffing your direct spells and nerfing the Orb build. Maybe Arcane Missiles comes back. Arcane Cleave. Additional targets receive 40% of Arcane Barrage's damage down from 60. So the Barrage Cleave is getting nerfed a lot. Spell Slinger, Splintering Orbs damage bonus reduced to 10% from 25. And Controlled Instincts Cleave percentage reduced to 40 from 60. That's a lot of cleave reduction for a very small amount of... Like in PvP, this will probably feel like more of a nerf, depending on what's down below for PvP changes. And I think Arcane was already kind of not the best mage spec in PvP. So that might feel really harsh. They're not doing anything to Frost? I can't believe they're not doing anything to Frost. Frost is so good in PvE. I mean, maybe there's something in the PvP section. I legitimately cannot believe that there's nothing for Frost after what I've been seeing, at least. For Fire, Ignition now increases Flame Strike's Ignite damage by 15% down from 50. We're nerfing Ignite? Or is that just Flame Strike's dot? I'm a bit confused. For the 2-set bonus, now increases Pyroblast and Flame Strike damage by 6% down from 8. Fire Blast cooldown reduction reduced to 0.3 from 0.5. Again, these in PvP are not huge because set bonuses are kind of bad anyways. And then they're buffing your Fireball by 15%, and they're buffing your Frostfire Bolt by 15, and they're buffing your Fire Blast by 25. You're actually oh my god, if there's no PvP changes for Fire is crazy. I mean, I don't know how big this is, though. If that's actually Ignite, or if this is the Flame Strike dot. If this is actually Ignite, maybe this is bad. I don't know what percentage Ignite even is. I think it was already starting to drop as in PvP. Monk, this is... Oh my god, it's getting buffed. What is that? There's no way I'm reading buffs on Monk and they're not counteracted in PvP, unless there's something in the PvP section, but... Brewmaster first here. Master of Harmony, Meditative Focus now increases damage dealt by Tiger Palm by an additional 50% down from 100. I don't think this is surprising to see Brewmaster and Guardian Nurse. Guardian got hit way harder than Brewmaster, though, I think. Aspect of the Harmony stores vitality based on 12% of the damage done and 6% of effective healing, down from 25 and 12. I feel like Brewmaster just got a little slap on the wrist. Brewmaster's going to be ponying, bro. I can't believe this didn't get counteracted. Shaylin's Gift is already lay on hands, and it got increased by another 60%, at least in PvP. Obviously, it's not in PvE, or I don't know why they'd be doing this. And the Clouds now increase your healing, though, but only by 10% per stack. Okay, so it does more healing, so it can't get like to this excessive level with the stacks, I think is what the goal is here. But it does more if you use it like frequently at a lower stack count, maybe. Jadefire Teachings, they buffed Jadefire Teachings from Ancient Teachings to 260 from 200%. Bro, they must have been so bad in PvE. Way of the Crane now transfers 340% of damage into one ally, but now before it was 125 into 3. That's stronger, I feel like, depending on the comp you're playing against, but that's a lot of single target healing. Obviously, in Mythic Plus, maybe this is bad, but I don't know. It depends on how often that that many people are taking that much damage. These have really weird implications. Jadefire Stomp damage now transfers into Ancient Teachings at 20% effectiveness. Jadefire Stomp's tooltip will be updated to reflect this in a later patch. And then they also buffed Invigorating Mist, which isn't just your mastery, I think. Well, I mean, the PvP section of this is, for Resto, Druid, and Monk, is going to have to be really, really big. Oh my god, Ret Paladin buffs. No Holy Paladin, nothing Holy Paladin, nothing Pro, only Ret. Final Verdict, 30% more damage. Light Within main target increased by 25%. Templar Slash and Templar Strike, 25%. Your melee damage, 25%. Crusading Strike damage increased 25%. Crusading Strike now also reduces your attack speed by 20%, improved from 35. High Lord's Judgment damage increased by 25%. Divine Storm got nerfed, so they're aware that the AoE was good, but the single target was bad, I think is what they're trying to do here. And depending on what they did with the spinning hammers in the PvP section, this could end up being fine, because I think they actually did need to be compensated. But if they don't get nerfed on the spinning hammers, then Ret is just absolutely god mode after this, so we'll have to see. Herald of the Sun Dawnlight damage increased by 25%. I don't think it's surprising to see Herald buffed. Herald of the Sun Dawnlight now cleaves 4% of the damage. Oh, it's actually doing a little less cleave damage. Empyrean Hammer, though, got buffed by 30%. They didn't nerf it in PvP? Huh? How'd they nerf in Feral Druid? They didn't let you get 6% as Feral Druid. 30% on this? Templar Wrathful Descent now deals 35% of Empyrean Hammer damage, though, down from 50. So Empyrean Hammers are doing less, but I'm confused if this ends up being a buff or a nerf mathematically between these two. And then Hammer of Light got a 10% buff. This PvP section has to be crazy, bro, to compensate for this. They actually buffed Disc. Penance damage and healing increased by 20%. It's not, I mean, maybe it's not massive. If you're playing Oracle, that's pretty big. For Shadow, they're not going to give the Shadow the buffs, but they're giving the Ret the buffs. They're giving the Monk the buffs. This PvP section at the bottom has to be crazy. There's no way. 10% damage for Shadow across the board, but not in PvP. So all of this is not in PvP. Shadow Word Death increased by 40%, Mind Blast by 20, Mind Flay by 20, Idol of Nazoth increased by 20, Shadow Word Madness increased by 20, Psychic Link now causes direct damage spells to inflict 20% of damage to all targets afflicted by Vampiric Touch, though down from 60. Bro, I swear this talent gets like Giga buffed, Giga nerfed, Giga buffed, Giga nerfed, Giga, like every time I ever see it in a patch note. This time around it's getting nerfed, so all of your baseline damage is higher, which I assume means just more single target damage. But your cleave is going down probably pretty significantly, at least from Mind Blast. Subtlety Rogue, this is a big one. Oh my god, they buffed you. What? And they didn't nerf you in PvP. This PvP section has to be crazy, bro. There's no way they just let this go through without there being something in the PvP section. There's no way. Backstab and Gloomblade, I think that's a good spell to buff. It sucks by 20%. Shadow Strike's a scary spell to buff. It's getting buffed by 15. Eviscerate's really scary to buff. It's getting buffed by 8. Your auto attacks do 15% more, but they did nerf your AoE. So obviously in Mythic Plus, their AoE was too good, single target was too bad. So that's why they're doing this. But in PvP, obviously, these are the abilities that matter. Black Powder is irrelevant. Potent Powder bonus black powder damage. What did I just say? Potent Powder bonus black powder damage. That's a tongue twister. Reduced to 20% of mastery down from 30. Again, all black powder related. For Trickster, they buffed Trickster. You were already playing. Unseen blade damage increased by 20%. However, this one, Nimble Flurry effect reduced to 50% of listed attack down from 65. Trickster, Clever Combatant crit bonus for Shuriken and Storm reduced to 10 for 15. And we see nothing for Asa as far as like energy regeneration. This PvP section needs to be crazy, bro, because some of this stuff is like, this is going to be insane. Ellie Shaman is getting a 10% Chain Lightning buff and a 10% Earthquake buff. It's completely irrelevant for PvP. Hey, Enhance! Did I say we could maybe get a slight buff? I was just leveling one. You are getting buffed. 8% damage across the board, 10% on Lightning Bolt, 10% on Chain Lightning, 10% on Primordial Storm. I think mostly the Lightning Bolt and the overall is pretty big. For Restoration Shamans, this does nothing for you in PvP. Healing Rain increased by 45%, and Chain Heal increased by 20%. Oh my god, Resto. This PvP section down here isn't crazy. I'm concerned. Destruction Warlock, Hellcaller. Zalan's Cruelty now increases shadow damage dealt by 5% down from 8, so Destro nerfs. Zalan's Ferocity now increases fire damage dealt by 5% down from 8. Blackened Soul damage got nerfed by 50%. Through the Fellvine now increases Rain of Fire damage by 6% down from 8. And Through the Fellvine now increases Chaos Bolt damage by 35%, up from 10, but not in PvP. So just like a minor nerf to some of your dots as Hellcaller. Probably not major. Demo. This is the one that I thought would be getting absolutely floored. So Dominion of Argus and Tauren Inquisitor damage reduced by 5%. And Tauren Jailer damage reduced, so the random pets you summon are doing a lot less damage. Lady Sacrilege is 35. Oh, wait, no, this got buffed. Sometimes I mix this up. You guys comment on it in the comment section. This one was buffed. Lady Sacrilege and the Grand Warlock Alithis has been increased. I don't know if that means you're weaker or stronger at the end of the day, because like that's a 5% and a 45, it's like 50, but then the buffs are 35 and 35, but I don't know how much of a percent these were. I don't know. The intentions of these adjustments to ensure that all demons summoned by the Dominion of Argus are competitive, avoiding random Okay, so the goal was to just even this out, not lower your damage. However, this one was expected. Demonic Soul from Soul Harvester is reduced by 55%. Manifested Demonic Soul damage was reduced by 50%. Soul Anathema damage was reduced by 35%. Wicked Reaping was increased, though, by 50%. And Demonic's Fervor now increases damage dealt by Demonic Soul by 200% to the main target of Hannah Gul'dan. I don't know if that's a buff or not. I know all this is a nerf to their AoE. This Reaping is increased. I don't know how big of a deal this Reaping is. Again, Demo is probably still fine, and we haven't even gotten to the PvP section. Demo's, at least in PvP, it's probably still fine. In PvE, this could be major, because like this was a huge contribution of your damage. Warrior! Cross your fingers and hope they didn't nerf you 4 times in a row, bro. Because if they hate Resto Druid like that, that's probably the same guy hates Warrior. So let's see here. Piercing Howl is going up to a 90-second cooldown. What? You already have to pick between it and Fear, don't you? And an ally speed buff radius reduced to 6 yards. 12 with Battlefield Commander. Piercing Howl has been available more frequently than intended and does not align with similar effects. So we're making changes to bring this ability in line while keeping it distinct among similar... Piercing Howl? Am I mixing up what ability this is? Isn't that a slow? Isn't there like 8 classes in the game that have slows stronger than Piercing Howl that are up like all the time? Is it what? Am I on crazy pills? Why are we talking about Piercing Howl? I feel like I'm on crazy pills right now. And we're nerfing it by that much? Some Mythic Plus Race to World First Raider must be doing some crazy stuff, because I don't understand that at all. But let's look at Arms Warrior. You got 2. At least one of them's a buff. 15% damage. Master of Warfare's final rank Heroic Strike now increases the damage you deal to enemies affected by your next Colossus Smash by an additional 3%, stacking up to 5 times. I mean, at least you got buffed. This thing is just throwing me for a loop. I don't know what that is, unless I'm misunderstanding what Piercing Howl is. Fury Warrior got a 10% buff. However, Reap the Storm got a lower chance to trigger from 30 to 20%. For protection, rank 1 on Falnix, which I think is your Apex talent. Thunderclap now causes your next Shield Slam to deal 10% additional damage and unleash a wave of force, dealing physical damage to all enemies in front of you. Rank 4, in addition to existing effects, enemies damaged by Phalanx Wave of Force deal 5% reduced damage to you for 8 seconds. They buffed all your so warriors got buffed, except Piercing Howl. For whatever reason, they just flipped Piercing Howl off, said just go away. I don't understand how. Out of all of the slows in the game that I get annoyed by, that was not one that I was considering. But PvP changes. Oh, they're dead. Are they dead? I don't know if this is enough, but maybe they're dead. All tank roll specs self-healing has been reduced by 25%. I don't know if that's enough. I actually don't know if that's enough. That actually feels like pretty light. It seems big, but I feel like it's pretty light. Frosty case. Look at that, dude. You didn't get nerfed. It's the first round of tuning and expansion. Well, you kind of got nerfed, but I think this is a good way of doing about it. There's buffed all your damage and then nerfed Reaper's Mark. You probably want that. This direction is better, right? Like, this is first round of tuning. This direction is better than you being a cheesy Reaper Mark one-shot guy. I don't know if this will be enough in, you know, like, you probably need another iteration of this, but I think that direction is good. And then Devourer got buffed. Even though it got nerfed up top, it got buffed down here. So you're overall buffed. Resto Druid. Okay, maybe they have not forsaken you. You got a 6% nerf up there, but then an 11% buff down here. So 5% buff. And then all damage reduced by 15% in PvP. Markers got you nerfed, bro. There's no way we're nerfing Resto Druid damage? Was it really that big? Fix an issue where Convoke the Spirits was casting the balanced version of Star Surge and dealing too much damage. So you got a nerf there and a nerf here. And I mean, unless they're nerfing the damage on all the other healers too, but I don't know. We have to wait. Dying Stars on Boomkin now causes enemies to suffer 25% additional damage from Moonfire and Sunfire when dispelled. I actually like that. This talent sucks. It still probably sucks, but like, I like that there's some dispel punishment. You know what I mean? For marksmanship, they did nerf the other slow. Consecutive concussion now slows movement speed only by additional 10%, down from 20. Okay, so for whatever reason, they completely ringed Piercing Howl out of the game. This guy got like a little bit of a slap on the wrist. Survival Hunter, I think this isn't surprising to see an 8% nerf on everything, considering you got like really big buffs up top. So you're still probably overall fine. Frost, okay, they're not letting you get off scot-free either. There's no change up above, but this is good though. I like this direction. Ray of Frost got nerfed by 20, but Frostbolt is getting buffed by 100%, and Frostfire Bolt's getting buffed by 100%. Brain Freeze now increases the damage of Flurry by 25%, PV down from 50. So a lot of your instant damage. However, Flurry is just getting buffed baseline by 75. Frostfire Empowerment now increases the damage of Frostfire Bolt by 10%. Was 36. So this buffs your Frost Bolt outside of a Frostfire build. I don't know how the hero talent balance is looking for Frost at the moment. I think this is the right direction for it. I just don't know the actual result of this because most people play Frostfire Frost. So I don't know if you can play the other one and it's still fine. I think it's Spellslinger. Maybe you're fine. I think that direction's good, but I don't know 100% what that will result in without actually seeing it. Monk. There's no way that's all you're getting. Wait a minute. Rushing Jade Wind Kick no longer deals 20% increased damage, so 20% nerf there. And Jade Fire Stomp, 50% nerf. Bro, they buffed your... This thing must be like huge outside of cooldowns or something. This must like be a huge nerf, this thing, for this to go through. They buffed... I swear Monk is still insane. I swear it's still insane. Even with an 8% nerf down here and a 20% nerf, it's overall, what, a 40% increase on the changes up top? I don't think this is enough. I can't believe Resto Druid got a 15% damage nerf, and you got... Well, I swear this doesn't... I mean, it's good. Like, it doesn't kill the spec, you know? It's like a very light touch. And maybe, you know, do a little light touch and then see how it plays at the rated season and then do another light touch if that's what's required. I think that's probably a safe way to approach it. But I still think it's probably the best healer. For Holy Paladin, adjust reward healing decreased by 50% in PvP. I don't know what that is. Is that the random proccing beacon? Divine Vision PvP talent now reduces the cooldown of Aura Mastery only by 30 seconds down from 60. That's an interesting one to target. I think it's because you can get Divine Toll with Aura Mastery. This is probably pretty strong on such a low cooldown. For Ret Paladin, oh, you guys didn't get away completely scot-free. 15% nerf. Although, like, they didn't target the hammers, I don't think. I'm pretty sure they didn't target the spinny boys. I think Ret might be insane. I'm pretty sure Ret might be insane. Like, that's... Maybe you play Herald. I think Ret could still be insane. They didn't target the thing when you Divine Toll and hammer starts spinning around you. So I think that thing is still going to be good. Unless it is the thing up there that I don't know 100%. For Priest, Psychic Shroud is only going to last 6 seconds instead of 15. So if you don't have a purge, it's not just making the Priest immune for basically the whole duration. For Discipline, they nerfed your damage by 8%, but they buffed the healing of Powered Radiance by 40%. Again, very light. This is very light. You're still going to do a lot of damage. This is very light. Maybe Arms Warriors will, like, do the same damage with the buffs they got. This feels very light. Oh my god, Assassin Rogue's on here. They're nerfing you. Huh? 4% nerf? And then Implacable Strikes damage reduced by 35%? Is that the one where when you Kingsbane and it lashes out a bunch of times? I think that's what that is. No energy regen change? I think Asa is dead. No energy regen change and a nerf. They did buff Outlaw, 12% damage. They didn't do... Sub-Rogue got a 10% nerf, but like what? It got like Giga buffed up here, didn't it? 8%, 15%. It's like exactly the same. I think it's either exactly the same or stronger because they buffed your filler. I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same or stronger. So Subtlety Rogue and Ret still, I think, are really insane. Elemental, they buffed Tempest by 20%. Earthshock damage by 15%. Plus up there, why do they want you to... Oh, sorry, that was Earthquake. Oh, that's actually nice. Wait a minute. Earthshock 15% is nice. Damage from Dispelling Flame Shock has been increased by 600%. And it can no longer crit. I like the Dispel protection mechanisms going on in here. I kind of wish they just deleted the Paladin talent that is super giga Dispel OP. Because we had some PvP talent change. I would rather they just delete that. But I like that they're giving you Dispel protection. And they're giving Dispel protection to Enhance as well. With this Flame Shock at 600%. For Restoration Shaman... Hey, at least they buffed heal. Like they didn't buff Ascendance though, so you're pretty much gonna have to play Healing Tide now. They did buff the cooldown on it, and they buffed you by 8%. And you got the Healing Rain buff. I don't know if there's some weird totemic Healing Rain thing. Maybe. I don't know if this is enough, considering like it's kind of been a like again. This seems very light, which again is a safe way of approaching this. It's a safe way of approaching the patch. And then if you on the next one you do it again with a nice little light thing. Oh, the Sub-Rogue one though I don't understand at all. They didn't target the stun mechanisms, and I swear your damage is higher after this. So yeah, Sub-Rogue is definitely good for day one. Athlock, they buffed all damage by 15%. They buffed Shadow Bolt by 20%. Why do they have to say in PvP combat when it's in the PvP section? Oh, I guess they said that on everything now. Drained Soul 20%. Dark Harvest, though, got nerfed. That's good. You want Dark Harvest to be less important and everything else to hit hard. Because it's so stupid that you just... If you get the channel off, everyone on the team dies instantly. And if you don't get the channel off, you do nothing. I hated that so much about AF. So, like, this is a good... I think it's a good direction. I don't know if it's enough, but it's a good direction. Unstable Affliction Dispelling also got punished. It's getting increased by 25%. I think that's pretty decent. Like, AF was really bad. I think this is... pretty decent, but at the same time, the Dark Harvest was your win condition, so your win condition got nerfed more than when you add everything together. Maybe it's a bigger buff, but it's it's the biggest number. So I think that this is kind of light, but this is the right way of doing it. So it's like seems safe, a light way of doing it. And then what did we do for Warrior? The duration of Intimidating Shout is being reduced to 5 seconds from 6. There ain't no way we're nerfing Intim Shout and Piercing Howl. This is not. The duration of Intimidating Shout when talented into Resonant Voice surpassed our targets for PvP crowd control duration. Okay, but fix the bug where people can cast abilities while they're feared. Because, yeah, they're feared for 11 seconds, but they can still play the game for the 11 seconds. I agree that it was dumb that the fear was that long, but, like, the bug on the fear has to be... You can't make the fear short. I guess it doesn't matter because it's bugged anyways. If it's 11 seconds or 5 seconds, if it bugs out, it doesn't matter. Because, I mean, that like this makes sense, but... They buffed Bladestorm by 23%, plus the buffs off top. I mean, that's pretty good. And then Unhinged for Slayer now casts Mortal Strike and Bloodthirst at 40% effectiveness, though, down from 60. So wait a minute, is that a nerf? I think it's a nerf. So Unhinged got a nerf, but pretty much everything else got buffed. And then some of your crowd control ability. I mean, you were already not playing Piercing Howl, so it's whatever, but I'm just surprised it got... Out of all the slow, I didn't expect Piercing Howl to be the one. I mean, I think most of this is good. Some of it is really light. I'm not a big fan of the sub-rogue changes because I feel like they're literally just stronger, which is weird. But I think everything else is like a very light approach. I'm glad that we are looking at stuff like this with a concussive shot. That was going to be really annoying. But maybe they need to also consider bringing Scatter Shot back at some point. There's some interesting ones here. They definitely targeted like the tank guys, which is nice. Unholy's you're kind of rough though, right? I think I talked about Unholy at the top, and there's nothing to compensate that. Although Unholy was really good though, so I'm not too sure. I'm glad that they kind of buffed a lot of the Arms Warrior and Aflock. I think that is at least making them a little bit more appealing. But Ret and Rogue, I swear Ret, Rogue, Mistweaver, you guys got off pretty light. And Fire, oh my god, Fire got off so insane. Fire Mage got off insane, bro. Some specs got out of this insane. Fire Mage, okay. I think we had to make another tier list. Some of you guys got out. The top dogs got out of this insane. I can't believe they didn't give Pharaoh Druid 6% damage, but Sub-Rogue got like, this is really weird to me. I could understand like maybe not 20 or something, but like that seems a bit weird to me. Unless they just want it to be a Sub-Rogue patch. Again, maybe that's what it is. They just want it to be a Sub-Rogue patch. Regardless, we got tuning. And I think it is pretty exciting for some guys, right? Like Warriors and Warlocks. I think it's pretty exciting. For Resto Druid, though, I don't know, man. I think Resto Druid, you guys might just be the, like, we think it's time for Demo to suck. You guys, in PvP at least, that might just be where you're at. Might just be where you're at. Or you need to blame markers, because the only time I've ever seen a Resto Druid doing a lot of damage is it's a marker short of him in, like, 2v2 randomly. And that was enough to get you nerfed. I don't know. I didn't think it was that insane, but that was compared to like Mistweaver damage, right? Or disc damage. It was pretty insane, but relative to it. But that's the update here. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the update. Hopefully you're excited, at least for the tanks to be gone, and for some of the underrepresented DPS specs. I'm still worried though with the healer balance. Again, I like the direction for most of this. It's just kind of light, and maybe that's good that it's light. As long as the next round of tuning, should this not be enough, maybe it will be, I could be wrong. Should this not be enough, then the next round of tuning with like another maybe moderately higher, depending on how extreme things are, will be good. But that's it for me here in the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.